Here we go. Mouse, keyboard, wallpaper. Looking great. Well, hello there, my friends. Here today, I have an MSI Prebuilt. This is an MSI Aegis, Aegis. I'll call it Aegis. Prebuilt here. I picked this one up here to do a review. I'm trying to do some more pre-builts. This one is nice because it is an MSI-based pre-built. So what we're looking at here is standardized parts. Not any weirdness here with all these proprietary parts and can I upgrade it down the road? Nope. It's MSI. These guys specialize in desktop parts. It's what they're very good at. I mean, they do other stuff too, but when it comes to desktop parts, they're, in my opinion, they're top of the class. Top. So this is an MSI Aegis. It's pretty sick. It has a 5070 Ti Vanguard. They didn't need to put a Vanguard in, but they're just like, screw it, we're going to put a Vanguard in this thing. Okay. They could have put a Shadow in or a Ventus or something, and I would have been happy, but they put a Vanguard in, sure. Standard ATX motherboard, nothing weird about it that you're going to be like, I can't upgrade that. 8700G, or 8700F CPU in here. Yes, it's not a 9800X3D or something like that, but it's going to get the job done. It's going to be able to keep the costs down. Of course, these are standard parts, so you can upgrade them down the road, meaning that you can get into something like this for a very good cost, especially during our RAM apocalypse, everything apocalypse, and upgrade it down the road. 32 gigabytes of RAM, lots of cooling, nice case on this thing too. I'm happy to cover this one. I bought this with my money. I like to buy MSI parts. My desktop, I have an AMD desktop and I have an Intel desktop, and they are both based on MSI motherboards, MSI power supply. One of them has a MSI cooler, one does not, and they both have MSI GPUs. I buy this stuff anyways, and I've been doing it for years because I trust their warranty. I trust the quality of their products, and they look nice, they perform well. It's just always great. And here we are turned on. So of course we do have the lovely Vanguard with the, dragon. This guy here, is it him? Is that his bigger brother? It's funny. Anyway, so you get, the two markings there. You have, the card itself is lovely, obviously. I do get some RGB on the CPU fan, on the rear exhaust, and then of course on the front. You do have RGB on the front as well. Very nice. So of course it's a very lovely case. I actually rocked a gun gear for years ago, but I did rock it for actually like 3 or 4 years. I actually gave that case to my younger brother, and he uses it still. And this is just like this is a very similar looking case, just slightly small, slightly bigger, and I do like it. So it's just a nice looking case. It's going to have good front to back airflow. That'll be great. Really nice, honestly. And if you ever end up upgrading it for some reason, you put some AIO on the top or something, you can configure that RGB as well. But even just that stock here, it's a nice looking case. Look at that. I like it. Very cool. Let's put it back together. By the way, the reason the side panel is off is because it is a very glossy. It's hard to record because you'll get a lot of reflections, but it does look quite nice with the side panel back on. And when I do my testing, I will put it back on. Yeah, it looks really nice, actually. Of course, if you had some little bit more RGB on the top with an AIO, it might look cool, but I'm actually kind of a fan of air coolers, to be honest. Look at that. Looks really nice. It's a sick setup. Get this in here, the mouse, keyboard, you get the full RGB setup. I'm not even an RGB guy, and I think that looks pretty sick. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, so I'll just pop that out, the big boy. Oh, it's actually just bracketed in there. I forgot, so I'll have to take that out there. Okay, so to release that, of course, you do have to take off the GPU support. There's a couple screws back here. Take that out. Alrighty. So we'll look at the GPU in a moment, but we can see what's going on in here now. So this is a support bracket. It just kind of sits there and you can put various different screws. So whatever GPU you get, very nice. The motherboard itself looking pretty good. So in terms of storage, we'll start with storage. There's one NVMe here, Gen 4 support with a cooler. You can see that. Get your metal there. These are really nice because they just click like that. I love the style there. You just put that in there and you just click it in like, these are fantastic. I love these. My current MSI motherboard has it. Then you have a second one here, so you can put in a second one. And it doesn't have, it also has this kind of like I don't know, a little thingy that moves. I don't know how to describe that. And so you just click it in. Very good. Put a standard thing on it. And then you have 4 SATA ports over here. So you're going to be able to get 6 drives in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good to see. Not going to compete again with something like their Tomahawks that can have up to 4, for example, with AMD. But it's still pretty good. You're going to be able to get 6 drives in here. That's great. Your first PCI slot there for your GPU. And then you get 4 more auxiliary ones. So you can get a lot of expansion here if you want to run PCI cards. RAM, you do have 4 options here. This is T-Force, so that's good RAM. I have a few kits of that myself, very good. You can get 2 more in there if need be for future upgrades if desired. The motherboard here is a B840 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi, which it has to be I suppose that is definitely a board that's going to be used specifically for pre-builts. That's my assumption, at least. It looks okay though. I mean, 1 CPU cooling thing up, 1 CPU power up here. That's fine for everything. I've run up to like a 9950X3D on a single. It's fine, honestly, no problems. You have, of course, that on the back side. You have your hub for all of your connectors. So if you want to put in a fan here later, pump over here, you can put an AIO. You can do your pump support. A lot of these run to the thing in the back, but of course you do still have more over here, 2 more. So if you don't want to use that hub or you want to add more, 2 more system fans, which you could use to hook up an AIO, of course, or you can put 1 and 2. So you can do that. Of course, there's some more down here as well. We have some RGB headers down here. Another fan down here, for example, so you can get a few more fans, right? You can put the 3 up there, for example, 2 more in here, 1 and 2, so you can get a ton of air coming in this way if need be. Liquid cooling, so you could do, like basically just add tons of stuff in here. So it's looking pretty good. I mean, for an OEM system, of course, it's going to be fantastic. Some of these brands with their OEM motherboards are like completely non-standard. They can be an absolute nightmare. This is a standard board, just MSI. It's not going to compete with, their like high-end Tomahawk type stuff, but it's not meant to. It's going to be totally fine otherwise though. So pretty good upgradability. It does come with this cooler here, spoiler. It does keep this specific CPU nice and cool, not even close to throttling. I suppose if you put in like a 9950X, they can go up to like 150 watts or something like that. You could potentially get some throttling. Generally speaking, I run those in eco mode anyways, but whatever, you can do that if you want, but you can add liquid cooling. It's just a standard, absolutely standard fan. So you just take it off, put in an AM5 socket bracket, and you're good to go. Very nice. There's not much to say about the GPU. It's an MSI Vanguard. Vanguard is a very nice GPU, one of their big boys. For a 5070 Ti, it's massive. It's by far the biggest 5070 Ti I've ever held. I've owned many 5070 Ti's, and from MSI themselves, I've owned 3. A Shadow, a Ventus, and an Inspire. I really like the Inspire, but the other 2 are both good. So you have your silent BIOS and your gaming BIOS switch there. Silent and gaming. We'll put it into gaming. This thing is massive, so I'm not worried about it running hot regardless. It's a nice looking GPU there. That's actually heavy, very nice. And the good thing about it being heavy is not that it's heavy, but it does have that support bracket there, so you're gonna be able to hook that up very well. Quick cut, I just want to show something. This is an MSI Ventus. I just wanted to try something. This is my GPU, like my solo GPU. And so you can see here, I actually took the bracket off that came with the Vanguard. I just wanted to make sure it works, and I put it in here. It did have the 3 screws, and it fits perfectly. So these guys are smart enough that they decided, you know what, this bracket thing here and this piece here, this cross brace, is actually going to have standard parts that just plug right into their other GPUs. So just plug right into 1, 2, 3, put them in there, and then it's going to allow this to ship, secure, or it's going to allow it to sit here secure without any type of, sag or anything like that. This is big brain move here, the fact that they did that. So. Rear panel looks just fine, to be honest. You have a spot down here for 2 hard drives. That's great. Actually, you have a spot for 3 because there's 1, 2, 3 on top. You could actually get 3 in there if you wanted, I suppose. Yeah, that's cool. It's a lot. I mean, it has a lot of SATA ports, so that's good. You can put a lot of storage in there. You can put a hard drive and some SSDs, all kinds of storage there. Love to see that. You don't have a modular power supply on this one here, but all the cables are here, nicely packed in there. Honestly, if you need to take them out, you can take them out, plug them in, but they are nicely packed in there, so it's not a mess. Decent cable running. I mean, you have your RGB stuff running over there, your fans and RGB all running into this little board here. Love to see that as well, because that keeps things nice and clean. You don't have tons of cables on the back side over there, so that's really nice to see. Cables all running here nice and good, no problem. Of course, there's the Aegis case, so you do have things like that you can run through to keep the cables nice and clean. Yeah, adjustable mounting thingy here. Support, you can take that out, adjust as need be based on the width there. Lots of airflow. You could technically put some fans in here as well. It's looking pretty good here in the back, honestly. So, as Mr. Lucky and Mr. Lucky say to me, come in here and check the BIOS. So the RAM did come, I already booted up and used the system. It did come with the RAM set to JDAC, so 4800 meg transfers. But this is a standard MSI motherboard, so a standard MSI BIOS, which, I mean, they're pretty easy to work with. You just go like that. So there you go, Expo 1, that should do the trick right there. Honestly, in most cases, you can just click that and you should be good to go. There's other options too, you know, Memory 1, or Expo 1, Expo 2. There's stuff like Memory, try it. You could come in here, play with some different options. Fan tuning as well. We can come in here, click that button there, and then you can do fan tuning. This machine is very quiet under idle, but you can tweak it more. So you can come in here, there is no pump fan, but CPU fan, it is set well. You could go DC or PWM. You can play with these sliders if you want here, move them down or up. You know, if you want it to take a little while. These things are fine. Like, these chips aren't super hot, so you could do something like that. So it's actually even more mild in terms of how much the ramp is. The system fan, which is the rear fan there, it's running at 840 PWM. Again, it's fine. It's no problems there whatsoever. You can play with the other fans as well, get it all set up how you want, but just be aware you can do that. And if you do find fans annoying, like for example, you're in like it's summertime or something like that, it's a little hotter, or you live in a hotter climate, and you know the ambient temperature is, let's hear, it's 40, right? Maybe your ambient temperature in your office is actually pretty hot, like maybe your ambient temperature is 35, so it doesn't take much for the system inside to get pretty hot. So you might be like idling almost over here. So you could potentially bring these down, right? So it just takes, it won't like really ramp up the fans until it gets a little warmer. This is always a nice thing to do. Just kind of give it a nice, more natural curve where it comes down a little bit smoother like this, and then it goes up like that. That's how I do it. Whereas a lot of times they actually have the inverse like that, right? And that's aggressive. That's an aggressive turn on, and then all of a sudden it will flatten out. I prefer it opposite. I like it to take some time, get a little warm, and then slowly start to go up. And then if you get real hot, okay, kick it up. So that's good. I like that. System status advanced. I'm not used to this one. I usually use Tomahawk BIOS. This does look a little different, but it does seem to have most of the settings in here. Let's just come down. NVMe, AMD overclocking. So you can do, I mean, this chip doesn't make sense to do that with, but if you did put in a, you know, 7900X or something like that, or 7700X or whatever, you could come in here, you can play with some of this overclocking, undervolting kind of stuff. So it's good that it's in there. It's not like a weirdly locked down BIOS. That's good. All right, you have all your goodies in here. Good, yeah. So it's not a lockdown BIOS. It's a good BIOS here. Just looks like any other AMD BIOS or any MSI BIOS that I played with. It looks fine to me. So yeah, let's exit out now that we have the RAM boosted up there. Save changes and reboot, and we're good. Now we're gonna, save changes, reboot. We're gonna have nice fast RAM here, and that'll improve our performance, and it'll be good. We'll start actually testing things. So we're idling here, and it's essentially silent. I don't normally have my desktop on my desk. I usually put it under, but even with this thing right beside me, it doesn't bother me. My noise floor, just before I get into this, is about 32, 33. Very good. Very, very, very quiet. Obviously, I mean, it's a lot of airflow in this thing, and none of the components really run super hot. The keyboard and mouse, it's not about that, but we do have a nice looking keyboard here. You do have controls for like your RGB kind of stuff there. All that goodies. It's nice. It is a rubber dome, so it's not a typist keyboard, but honestly, rubber dome is actually good for gamers, to be honest. The keyboard, the actual mouse here is really nice. Forward, back. And then you have your DPI settings, which that's way too fast. So you have your DPI settings. I liked it how it was. There you go. So your DPI settings there, scroll wheel. It's a nice little mouse. I like it. So again, this is an 8700F here. I'll just go through here. And you can swap the CPU. There's nothing locking you into it, but it's an 8700F 8-core CPU. Totally fine. No problems with this thing here. It's not going to beat out a 9800 X3D at 1080p, but at what this GPU is designed to do, this beast Vanguard, is at 1440p, or to be honest, 4K. It's 4K, very 4K capable, with good FPS, and at 1440p it's going to fly as well. And this is a 1440p ultra wide, so we'll be able to push this thing a little further. I don't have a 4K screen right now, but I have a 1440p ultra wide, which is probably a lot of people would game at 1440p or 1440p ultra wide with this type of system. So we'll be able to push this thing. That CPU is not going to be a slouch by any means. You get your Wi-Fi 7, we'll test all that kind of stuff, the Vanguard, etc. But it's coming here. This little fan here, you may think it's not going to keep this thing cool, but it will. You could even run like a 9800 X3D, 9950 X3D, especially under eco mode, will run fine under here. This thing's not going to have any problems. See the watts there, dumps in 87 or so, and it'll just run at basically that until the boost wears out. Even on the desk, this wouldn't bother me right beside me because the tone is very low. It's a deep tone. There's no like whirring, like woo, 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 woo. There's no whining, like or screaming or anything like that, screeching. It's just air moving. Absolutely no throttling whatsoever. There's no need to upgrade this cooling system. You could if you want, I guess, right? Like we're getting 17,000, just shy of 17,000. That's good for this tier of CPU. Again, this is not a multi-core monster. It's 8 cores. You keep slapping a 7900X, 9900X, 9950X, X3D, those kind of things if you need a lot more compute to do, rendering, video tasks, that kind of stuff. But this is not going to be a problem. Like my primary gaming laptop that I game on has a score that's very similar to that. Actually, it is actually the same as that. And I do all my video editing on that, and I have no problems whatsoever. So that kind of stuff, no problem. And then in gaming, like a true 8-core processor, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll see when we get there. We're not going to have CPU issues. Okay, and just looking at some benchmarks that I have run, we already know what the CPU can do. The Wi-Fi is very fast. This is as fast as my Wi-Fi can go, honestly. The upload is crap. It's just the way that it is. But the download is fast. Wi-Fi 7, I don't necessarily have the best setup here, and I mean that is going to pick up a pretty good signal, the external thing. The storage internal, reasonable, kind of mid-range Gen 4, no problem there whatsoever. Good to see they're not putting in some cheapo thing. It's a green, but I mean, whatever. These are also fast, doesn't really matter. You have extra storage you can put in, of course. And then I did test the USB 4, the USB 10 gigabit on the back to make sure that they were running, and they are. So they're running at USB 10 gigabit. That's the USB-A. And then the USB-C also runs at 10 gigabits. So you're going to be able to run, I mean, it runs twice as fast as something like a SATA style enclosure. If you have an NVMe style enclosure, something like, this pre-cooked ones, or you can get something like these NVMe enclosures, it's going to max these out. Like that's as fast as they can go. Okay, so I'm not really too interested in the performance because we know what a 5070 Ti can do. We know what a 8700F can do, especially when they're combined. We know it's going to be very effective. But what I am going to do here is I am going to show you temperatures and thermal. That's Ray Tracing Ultra. Okay, well, let's turn it down just for now. I just want more frames. I just want to push it a little bit here, but we'll just get it up there. And this will hit the GPU and the CPU. So it's going to produce more noise as a result. And I want to get this whole system. It's been running for a while. I want to see what kind of thermals we have inside. I'm actually going to take some thermal imaging too, but let's see how noisy it is under a full heavy load. The GPU is completely silent, just so you know. If you slam the GPU, it doesn't make any noise. It's so quiet. The CPU here is being hit fairly hard because it's Cyberpunk, and therefore the fan is going a little bit harder. I mean, 40 dB is pretty damn quiet for this thing under full load here. Okay, I had to get rid of that. I have never used a Vanguard before, to be honest. I have used many 5070 Ti's from MSI. I've used a bunch of them. I've used other brands as well. That is by far the lowest temperature I've ever seen on a 5070 Ti. Of course, we have the giant Vanguard in here running nice and cool, like a big 5070 Ti. You're never going to throttle. It's impossible. And then, of course, this thing does have good airflow, right? You have front-to-back airflow, where you have 3 fans in the front pulling air into the back of the case. you're not going to have issues with thermals here. You have also the CPU itself and the rear just pushing air out. So you don't have a lot of circulating hot air in this thing. Okay, we're going to start like this. We're running Cyberpunk. Can't see it, but we're running Cyberpunk. And obviously the exterior of the case is cool. The heat's coming out. It's actually blasting onto the screen. That's funny. It's not even that hot, but whatever. Okay, now I'm going to open this up quickly because it'll evacuate the heat really fast. But I just want to see what's going on inside. You know, I could put a thermometer or measuring in there, but I just want to see what this is like now. I mean, it's running super cool, right? GPU, nice and cool. Power connector there. 42 is nothing. RAM is not hot at all. Underneath there. I mean, nothing really in here is above 40. Of course, the power connector is going to be like 40, 45 because, you know, that kind of stuff. A little bit of areas in the PCB, but it's running nice and cool. Back there, not really that hot. Some of these VRMs there that are exposed. 45. That was a hot spot back there. Some of the VRMs. Nothing in this system is over 50 that I can see. Like, not anything. That's good to see. So not only are the components running well, the motherboard's running well, but the airflow throughout the case is keeping everything nice and cool. Let's come down here. Yeah, it's doing a very good job. So it's going to keep the components nice and cool overall. Even when this thing's been closed up and running for quite some time, it's doing a very good job moving air throughout the system, keeping it looks red because, I mean, that's just the palette, but nothing in here is like hot by any means. This is running very well. CPU, where are we at here? 63, like no wattage there. Power, yeah, I mean, it's pulling a lot on the GPU. Let's crank it up though. Get a little bit harder to run. So we're actually going to turn off scaling here. I don't want that. I want to hit the GPU as hard as I possibly can. I'm just trying to find a balance where I'm like basically at 100%. There we go. So pretty close to 100% GPU. Let's just go all the way. You know, ray tracing overdrive at 1440p ultra wide is too much. Like, it doesn't make sense to do that, but we'll do it anyway. So ray tracing ultra overdrive at 1440p ultra wide. You could do this on 1440p, but not 1440p ultra wide, just because I want to see the GPU get slammed. It does offload the CPU, as we can see here. The CPU is not getting hit as hard because this is a very GPU heavy scenario here. It's just going to creep down. And let's see where the GPU is, and it's still not getting hot. The GPU is still under, I was going to say under 70, but it's basically sitting under 60. Very good. I mean, most 5070s that I've played, 5070 Ti's that I played with, under full load, you're looking more at like 70, 75, 80 degrees. Look at the power there. The 8700 is good enough for most scenarios. Even when you're in, you know, heavy games that are very CPU heavy, it's going to be fine. Of course, you can get something beefier. You can swap it out, put in a 9950X3D or whatever. Okay, now we're just going to do a game that isn't so brutally CPU heavy. I mean, of course, it is still hitting the CPU. It's just not hitting the CPU as hard, which will allow us to really look at the GPU a bit more. Stand here for a moment. Of course, it does run quieter when the CPU isn't getting obliterated. It's still at 40% or so, but right, not as hard on the CPU. Now, anyways, see the GPU is getting hit. This is Oblivion Remaster, which is really tough on GPUs. It's just a very GPU heavy game. So we're actually getting GPU bound here for sure. Turn that up a bit. Just hit the GPU a little heavier. Something like that. Right, so there's going to be like basically any game you're going to have no problem playing with this. I don't need to benchmark the 5070 Ti. It's not important. We know what it can do. This specific iteration of the 5070 Ti in this machine is a monster. I mean, it's going to run so cool. We're slamming it super hard. It's running at 50 degrees. Right, the CPU is not problematic. There's no temperature issues on that. It's running at 70, even being hit pretty hard, 56 here. We know that the CPU doesn't throttle under full load. Even in things like Cinebench, you can slam that thing, and you're not going to get throttling on the CPU. So it's a nice combo here. Like, this is a nice combo. Of course, yeah, I wouldn't say no to 9800 X3D or something like that. You could put one in, but I mean, getting in here, getting the CPU down a little bit where it's not, you know, as much of a beast, putting something, you know, a couple tiers down from that, still going to give you the compute that you need. And it's going to be able to keep the cost of the machine down a little bit. And you're really pushing 1440p, or in a lot of cases, actually 4K with this type of system here. So you're not looking at iterations where, you know, the CPU is going to be just absolutely blasted. A lot of the time you're going to be hitting the GPU heavy, because you're going to be playing at heavier resolutions here. So yeah, it's running very well though. Okay, let's wrap it up with the MSI Aegis. It's great, honestly. There's no real negatives about it. I mean, honestly, it is what it is. You can get into one of these for a pretty good price, especially nowadays. Prices of everything are up right now. Building on your own back in the day, you know, it would be great to build on your own, and you still can. You can pick up very similar parts. Like I'm building, I just built my Intel based system, which used a lot of MSI parts as well. The AMD one is coming very soon. I just haven't put it together yet. And so, I mean, you can do that. You can go out there, you can buy the parts, sure. But some people are not comfortable doing that. You can get in here to a pre-built. These days, I mean, they're not necessarily any more expensive, maybe a touch, but not necessarily. You can get into them, and especially with something like this, you're not really cutting any corners. You're getting in here with all standard parts. I mean, it has a freaking Vanguard 5070 Ti, sure, whatever. But they also make these without, you know, with different GPUs and that. But I think they're all going to be great. MSI are the GPU brand that I prefer. When we have access to GPUs, we don't have like some weird shortage like we had back in 2021, I will buy MSI. Just, that's the choice that I want. Motherboards, I exclusively buy MSI. Just so you know, I don't buy other brands, because every time I've bought other brands, I've been disappointed. When I buy MSI branded motherboards, I'm happy. And I've had a couple cases over my many, many years of gaming where I've had something, you know, come up with one of my MSI products and their warranty is very good. That's great. So you're getting all those parts in here. It's going to offer very good performance right now. The cooling is exceptionally good on this. Even though this is an air cooler, the CPU runs quite well. You could put in a more powerful CPU without issues, and it would still keep it cool. You can upgrade these. It's a standard AM5 socket. Down the road, if you want to upgrade it, sure, you have at least one more generation of AMD coming out with this socket here, so you're going to get many years of support here. RAM, you have 4 stick options, 2 in here, 32 gigabytes. That's great. GPU, this power supply is going to have no problem supporting this. 5070 Ti, Vanguard. I wouldn't personally go any higher than that. You can if you want. You can get a 5080 or something, or a 5090, but don't need it. 5070 Ti is a fantastic GPU, and this thing runs so cool. The Vanguard is such an over-designed GPU. I'm not going to complain about that, but it's such an over-designed GPU that this thing is going to run at like 50 degrees under full load. It's fantastic. Case looks good. It's well designed. I mean, this is not this is not a pre-built case. You can just buy these cases from MSI and just build in them, and they're just good cases. They're front-to-back cooling. That's what I like. I don't like fish tanks. I like front-to-back cooling, where you get 3 fans in the front here pushing air through the system into the CPU, out the back, keeping it nice and cool. Feeding the GPU comes in, gets sucked out as well. Easily could mount an AIO if you want to increase it a little bit. Might get a little quieter under full load as well with an AIO, but yeah, it's great, honestly. And then down the road, you want to upgrade parts of this, you just want to swap out the CPU, go for it. Maybe down the road you want to get yourself some fancy MSI motherboard, right? Like you saved up, you're going to get yourself an X870E Tomahawk or something, or a Carbon, and you're like, you know what, I want to put it in here and beef this thing up even more, get more storage, yada yada yada. It's all standard. Just take it out, put the parts back in that you want, and away you go. It's great, honestly. I have zero complaints. It's pretty much similar to something that I would build, right? Like if I built it, I would probably build some things here and there a little different, maybe aesthetically or visually or whatever. You know, I would go with, like, I'm building a light colored build right now with my MSI stuff. My AMD and Intel are both going for like the light build. It's just what I'm into right now. So I don't have any actual complaints, honestly. Like, this is kind of what I would build anywhere. I would be buying mostly MSI parts anyways, and I would be building something very similar to this anyways.